Hey YouTube. Patreon patron John Holland had requested a Let's Play for Beep Street's latest, Zeeon. And this is probably going to be a short video because this is actually a pretty straightforward synth app. As synth apps go on iOS, it's got a complicated mod matrix, but for the most part, it's just subtractive synthesis. Again, all these great tuning knobs for changing the cutoff and the wave, whatever the hell we want to do with it. It's pretty straightforward, but I'm going to show you some pretty clever things that we can do with this. So to start off with, let's bring in a second oscillator. And I'm just going to make these two slightly different from each other. I'm not going to change the frequency, I'm just going to change the wave shape and the pulse width to give them a little bit of variation. So that's sounding a little bit more interesting than just having a straight saw wave, right? And we can use the mod matrix now to do even more stuff to that. Like we can set the LFO to now modulate the pulse width of these two. So let me do that right now. And I can tune it like this. So now we've got pulse width modulation, and that was pretty fast and easy. We can obviously play around with the filter and do all the usual filtering stuff, but one thing that makes this very unique is the amount of built-in layers of options. So you'll see here at the top of the filter we've got 3 different types of filters, and we could even get into the modes of those 3 different types. So this first one is a low pass 24 decibel thing, and as it changes the tone, it's changing it into a high pass and then band pass. Let me lower the cutoff so you hear that a little bit more clearly. And that's pretty interesting. But my favorite one by far is this 12 decibel one, MM12, which gives it this kind of electric I really like the way that sounds. So that's with no effects. I turned off the effects, but there weren't any on. No effects. We've just got 2 oscillators. We're not even doing anything particularly complicated with the filter envelope. It's just 2 oscillators and doing a little bit of modulation into this weird filter, and we got this. But we've got so many layers, we can keep on building on this. So let's do that. A great way to do that is to, here, let me show you briefly here. There's a whole second layer with 2 more oscillators, and we can quickly duplicate what we've done here by saying copy layer 1 to layer 2. And now if I turn off 1, turn on 2, we're getting the same sound. But let's not just stop there. Let's actually make this unique. Like, let's push these now from being saw-ish to being square-ish. Let me pull down the amp as I turn on both layers down. Let's hear how that sounds. And that sounds pretty good together. But we can get even crazier with this because the modulation matrix actually lets you use one of the layers as a modulation source. So it's like the most complicated FM in the world if you want to do that. And I want to do that, so let's do that. Here I'm still in layer 2, and they have independent modulation matrices, as you'll see in a second here. I'm going to select the source as layer 1, and if I switch over to layer 1, you see that that didn't happen here. This is just the mod matrix for layer 2's panel stuff. So I'm going to say use that layer 1, the audio of that, as a modulation source for oscillator 1's frequency. And I'm going to do the same again with layer 1 going into oscillator 2's frequency. And let's turn off oscillator 1 while I'm doing this so you can hear what happens, hopefully. It's like instantly cool, right? So now we've really got some electric sounds going on. Let's bring in layer 1. And you can kind of blend between these two. And since this is FM, there's two things to keep in mind. The amount knob here is how hard it's going to be FM'd by. And because it's frequency modulation, if you change the frequency of the first, it's going to affect the second. So let's turn off the first here and listen to this as I screw around. Like, I'm on the first layer, but we're going to be listening to the second layer as I screw around with the frequency of the first layer. That feels a little cleaner than before. Let's turn on the first layer now and we can listen to what we've actually done to it. Alone on its own, it doesn't sound that great, but as we blend in the second, it sounds really good. It's a nice, clean sound with, which is surprising considering how crazy this is, right? I'm using all of that crazy stuff we did at the beginning of this video to modulate the second half of the video, and it works. Like, that sounds good. Okay, that part didn't sound good. I think I was hitting a retrig problem. Let me set all these to retrigger. Alright, yeah. So, as I was saying, and it all sounds pretty good. That starts off kind of rough, but as that filter is moving around, because there is a little bit of an envelope going on, that's... Am I actually... Oh, I'm not using the envelope. Let's use the envelope. Let's use the envelope on the second layer, hearing more of it. Oh man, hit the 3-octave button. We're able to tame that a little bit. There are extra layers to this, though. We can switch this. Right now it's just in mono mode, like you can do poly. Not so great. But we can do unison. Okay, I gotta pull down the amp so I don't blow out your ears. And you can tweak this in the tool, the panel too. And let's turn on some effects. Okay, that resonance is a little too high. It's a little messy, so I'm going to try to tame that by turning off the pulse width modulation on the second layer. There's a whole lot more into this. We could be tweaking like the layer with the sub-oscillator, or even throw in noise and all this other stuff. You can actually route in layer 1 as a source inside of layer 2 if you want to do that. There's just lots of different ways of doing this, but it's all pretty straightforward. I mean, there's even a drive. I don't think that's going to improve what we're hearing now, though. This is like the most straightforward synth that I've done a video for in a very long time. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you very much to John for suggesting this, and if you've got a suggestion, become a Patreon, and then you can make requests, and I will be happy to do those videos. Take it easy, folks.